Hey guys, welcome back. So I am feeling better today. I've been praying a lot to God, asking Him to just help me. Um, I think the biggest thing is asking Him to help me accept that I don't need to know everything. I don't need to understand everything. I don't need to have the answers to everything. And that's okay. And um it's 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 okay to not have those answers, and it's okay to just accept that I don't know why God created us. I don't know why we're here. I don't know what his purpose was. But as a parent myself, and when I asked God, why did you create us? He asked me, well, why did you create your daughter? And it really just through me. And I was just like, wow, like I've never even thought about that. And, you know, I I don't really know. Why do we create children? Why do we, it's in our biological nature to reproduce. God instilled that in us. But, when I think about my daughter, all I want to do is give her love and take care of her and spend time with her and raise her to be able to survive and be healthy and happy and have a good life. And now that I've brought God into my life, of course I want to raise her also with God in her life and getting to know him and having her own relationship with God as she grows up. And I don't know, like I have to just accept that I may never know, why God created us and why we're here and what all this is about. But I can just accept that this is the reality, whether I have ever get that answer or not. It's not going to change the fact that we're here right now. And I'm sitting here right now in human form, alive, in my closet, making this video. Like, even if God right now was like, okay, this is why I created you, this is why I created humans, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change a thing. I'm still going to be sitting here right now as a human making this video. So I've been just praying to ask God to help me just accept my reality, accept that I don't need to know everything, and help me just come to peace with that, because that is a hard thing for me. And then just asking God to help me let go, help him take the wheel, help me let go of the wheel, help me, like I even told God, I've pretty fearless in life so far. I've done a lot of things. My mom even told me one time, she's like, I've never seen anyone jump off the ledge so many times or jump off a cliff so many times and always land on their feet. And she's not talking about an actual cliff. She's talking about like just in life. Like I do things that are very like scary to other people, and I've always just gone with the wind and done it because it felt right, and I've always landed on my feet. And I see now that even though I didn't recognize God and I didn't have him in my life, like I didn't see him, he was there behind the scenes. And I think that a lot along the way, me jumping off the cliff was actually me listening to him guiding me. I just didn't realize it at the time. And now that God's in my life, I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, he has been there guiding me. And I didn't always listen, but the times that I did listen were the times I landed on my feet. So, anyways, I've been asking God to, help me just accept my reality, accept I don't need the answers to everything, and then also just help me come to peace with that, and then help me grow in my faith in Him and trust in Him, and to let go and to let Him, you know, take over, and to have me just let go and surrender to Him. So I know that this is not something that is going to happen overnight. I think that this is something that God's going to chip away a little bit at a time over, however. I think, I don't know, I have this really strong feeling that, like, by the time I read the whole Bible and by the time I finish the Bible, I will be in a very different place. I think that I will be fully trusting and fully having faith in, and it's not even having faith in God. Like, I believe in God for sure, and I have faith in Him. It's more just, I've always only been able to fully rely on myself in life, and I've been the only person who hasn't let myself down. Like, I've always been there for me. So to now want to lean onto God and let Him, like, put myself in His hands instead of my own hands is unbelievably scary for me. And I think that this is just going to be a time thing where God's just going to continually show me and help me and break that wall down that's making it difficult for me to just fully let Him take me over and, like, let go and let Him hold me in His hands instead of me holding myself. And I really believe, I just have this really strong feeling that by the time I finish the full Bible, like, I will get there. I will get to that point. I think it's just going to take a little time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I was just watching someone earlier. I was watching a video of this person I found on YouTube. He has great videos about God and the Bible and stuff. I think his name was um Johnny Chang or something like that. He's Asian, and he's got lots of tattoos and stuff. I think that was his name. I'm not confident on that being his name, but I just recently found his channel, and he has great videos. And one of the ones I just watched, actually, just right now before I got on here, someone asked him, "Did you ever question God?" And he said, "Yeah, a lot in the beginning, when I, first started getting to know Him and stuff, and didn't really understand faith that much." And I was like, "Oh wow, like, that's so, like, nice to hear someone else that also struggled in the beginning like I'm struggling." And I think that's a big reason why God is making me, painstakingly making me make these videos, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it would be beyond easier if I just read the Bible on my own without making these videos. Making these videos is hard for me. It's difficult for me to fit them into my schedule. It's difficult for me sometimes when the app doesn't work, or I'm struggling, or I just don't feel up for it, or I'm tired, or like right now, it's almost midnight after my daughters went to bed. I want to go to bed. I don't want to be sitting here making this video, but I'm doing it because I know God is using me and my journey in the beginning with Him to help others who are also going to be struggling or are currently struggling with their journey, also with bringing God into their life. Because I know I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not alone in how I'm feeling and how I'm struggling and how this is difficult. And whether you're finding this video now or in the future, and you are resonating with this, it's because God guided you to this video. God guided you to me reading the Bible. God guided you to following this journey because He He doesn't want you to feel alone. He doesn't want you to feel like, oh, I'm struggling and I'm having a hard time, God. Why is it just me? It's not just you. It's not just you. And I don't think enough people talk about it. I don't think enough people talk about how hard it is sometimes to have faith in God and trust Him and not question things and just accept things and just believe and fully lean into Him and trust Him. I think that eventually I'll get there, but right now it is difficult. And so, and that's another reason why I'm like, yeah, God, like I will make these videos, because I love helping people, and God knows that. God knows that that feeds my soul because that's my purpose. That's part of His plan for me, is to help others. And so, yeah, these videos are difficult to make and it's hard to fit into my schedule, but I make it work the best I can right now, and I could be doing better. But because I know also deep down it's also for me as well, and it's helping me as well. So, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I just kind of got a little animated there. I just started to feel it. um, so, yeah, if you're struggling, don't give up. I'm not giving up. You don't give up. We'll do this together. So, okay, guys, let's get into today's chapters. I have no idea what today's chapters are. I was not listening when I recorded it, I was praying instead. So, let's get started.
Now it happened, at the end of 20 years, when Solomon had built the 2 houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. Hiram, the king of Tyre, had supplied Solomon with cedar and cypress and gold, as much as he desired. That King Solomon then gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee. Then Hiram went from Tyre to see the cities which Solomon had given him, but they did not please him. So he said, "What kind of cities are these which you have given me, my brother?" And he called them the land of Cabul, as they are to this day. Then Hiram sent the king 120 talents of gold. And this is the reason for the labor force which King Solomon raised, to build the house of the Lord, his own house, the Millo, the wall of Jerusalem, Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up and taken Gezer and burned it with fire, had killed the Canaanites who dwelt in the city, and had given it as a dowry to his daughter, Solomon's wife. And Solomon built Gezer, Lower Beth-horon, Baalath, and Tadmor in the wilderness, in the land of Judah, all the storage cities that Solomon had, cities for his chariots and cities for his cavalry, and whatever Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion. All the people who were left of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, who were not of the children of Israel, that is, their descendants who were left in the land after them, whom the children of Israel had not been able to destroy completely. From these, Solomon raised forced labor, as it is to this day. But of the children of Israel, Solomon made no forced laborers, because they were men of war and his servants, his officers, his captains, commanders of his chariots and his cavalry. Others were chiefs of the officials who were over Solomon's work, 550, who ruled over the people who did the work. But Pharaoh's daughter came up from the city of David to her house which Solomon had built for her. Then he built the Millo. Now 3 times a year, Solomon offered burnt offerings and peace offerings on the altar which he had built for the Lord, and he burned incense with them on the altar that was before the Lord. So he finished the temple. King Solomon also built a fleet of ships at Ezion-Geber, which is near Elath, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. Then Hiram sent his servants with the fleet, seamen who knew the sea, to work with the servants of Solomon. And they went to Ophir, and acquired 420 talents of gold from there, and brought it to King Solomon. Now when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to test him with hard questions. She came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels that bore spices, very much gold, and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. So Solomon answered all her questions. There was nothing so difficult for the king that he could not explain it to her. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his servants, the service of his waiters and their apparel, his cupbearers, and his entryway by which he went up to the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the king, "It was a true report which I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom. However, I did not believe the words until I came and saw with my own eyes. And indeed, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity exceed the fame of which I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are these your servants, who stand continually before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who delighted in you, setting you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord has loved Israel forever, therefore he made you king, to do justice and righteousness." Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, spices in great quantity, and precious stones. There never again came such abundance of spices as the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Also, the ships of Hiram, which brought gold from Ophir, brought great quantities of almug wood and precious stones from Ophir. And the king made steps of the almug wood for the house of the Lord, and for the king's house, also harps and stringed instruments for singers. There never again came such almug wood, nor has the like been seen to this day. Now King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired, whatever she asked, besides what Solomon had given her according to the royal generosity. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants.
The Queen of Sheba, that sounds so familiar. I feel like I've heard of her before, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
The weight of gold that came to Solomon yearly was 666 talents of gold, besides that from the traveling merchants, from the income of traders, from all the kings of Arabia, and from the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield. He also made 300 shields of hammered gold. 3 minas of gold went into each shield. The king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with pure gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round at the back. There were armrests on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the armrests. 12 lions stood there, one on each side of the 6 steps. Nothing like this had been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's drinking vessels were gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Not one was silver, for this was accounted as nothing in the days of Solomon. For the king had merchant ships at sea with the fleet of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the merchant ships came bringing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and monkeys. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. Now all the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Each man brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, armor, spices, horses, and mules, at a set rate year by year. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and he made cedar trees as abundant as the sycamores, which are in the lowland. Also Solomon had horses imported from Egypt and Kiva. The king's merchants bought them in Kiva at the current price. Now a chariot that was imported from Egypt cost 600 shekels of silver, and a horse 150. And thus, through their agents, they exported them to all the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Syria. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods." Solomon clung to these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it was so, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David.
What the heck? I literally, like, guys, I'm not even joking. Maybe like a minute less than before this verse, this last verse about how many wives he had, I literally was just thinking about the fact that Solomon only had one wife and thinking, "Oh, that's such proof that God only wants you to have one wife." And then here we find out he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. Does that mean he had like sex with all of them? That's a lot of women. Oh my god. Holy cow. I'm in shock right now. No, no, no. And I still, well, obviously, we stand by the fact that God, one man, one woman. That's it. One and one. There's no multiple nothing. It's meant for one man and one woman. Let's not forget that. But oh my god, I cannot believe that. That's insanity. That's like significantly worse than David. Wow.
For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not fully follow the Lord, as did his father David.
Mm-hmm.
Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, on the hill that is east of Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the people of Ammon. And he did likewise for all his foreign wives, who burned incense and sacrificed to their gods. So the Lord became angry with Solomon, because his heart had turned from the Lord God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not keep what the Lord had commanded. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon,
Guys, I had such high hopes for Solomon. Everything seemed to be going good. I just can't right now. I'm like, what is happening? I had such high hopes for him. I can't believe this right now. I'm in shock.
"Because you have done this, and have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Nevertheless, I will not do it in your days, for the sake of your father David. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away the whole kingdom, I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen." Now the Lord raised up an adversary against Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was a descendant of the king in Edom. For it happened, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the commander of the army, had gone up to bury the slain, after he had killed every male in Edom, because for 6 months Joab remained there with all Israel, until he had cut down every male in Edom, that Hadad fled to go to Egypt, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him. Hadad was still a little child. Then they arose from Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them from Paran and came to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who gave him a house, apportioned food for him, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him as wife the sister of his own wife, that is, the sister of Queen Tahpenes. Then the sister of Tahpenes bore him Genubath, his son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. So when Hadad heard in Egypt that David rested with his fathers, and that Joab, the commander of the army, was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me depart, that I may go to my own country." Then Pharaoh said to him, "But what have you lacked with me, that suddenly you seek to go to your own country?" So he answered, "Nothing, but do let me go anyway." And God raised up another adversary against him, Rezin, the son of Eliada, who had fled from his lord, Hadadezer, king of Zobah. So he gathered men to him and became captain over a band of raiders when David killed those of Zobah. And they went to Damascus and dwelt there and reigned in Damascus. He was an adversary of Israel all the days of Solomon, besides the trouble that Hadad caused. And he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria.
Guys, I'm so. What the heck? I mean, he really sinned. I mean, it's not like he just had a couple wives. He went crazy with women. Like, whoa. Man. The one thing that I do that I don't like is that the fact that God said, I'm going to make your kingdom fall or whatever now, but I'm not going to do it in your time. I'm going to do it to your son, right? Isn't that what he said? And I still I hate the fact that when you do something bad, God doesn't always your 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 punishment for it or whatever isn't always just secluded to just you. It affects others. And I don't fully understand it. I don't fully agree with it. I don't fully grasp it, why God does that. But I am coming to accept that that is the reality and that there's a reason. And I'm hoping I'll get some answer and clarity on that, as I've asked God to help me with that too. But whether I get the answer or not, I still have to just accept that that is part of our reality. When you do something bad, you may not always suffer the consequence of it. Sometimes some other people do, and sometimes you both do, and sometimes, multiple people feel it. It just depends. And then, but it goes the same for when you do something good. sometimes you only feel the effect of it, and sometimes someone else will feel the effect of you doing good, and sometimes multiple people will feel the effect of you doing good. So, I mean, it does go both ways. It's not just for, you know, the consequences of sinning. You also have that same rules apply to when you do something good. So, I mean, there's that. That's a good thing. But yeah, it sucks. But I mean, I guess it does kind of make sense though, because, you know, I mean, really, honestly, like what hurts more? Like when something bad happens to you, or when, like, if I did something wrong and I was punished for it, yeah, that would suck. But if I did something wrong and someone else was punished for it, it would hurt me more than if I was punished for it. It would hurt me more that someone else was punished for it that didn't do the sin. So I mean, I guess I get it in a way, but it's like, ugh, sucks. But I mean, I guess it does make sense. So I don't know. I'm trying. I'm coming to accept things. I'm trying to understand. God's giving me clarity and understanding with certain things, and He's helping me, you know, just it's a process. So, okay, guys. Well, now that I know that Solomon messed up, wonderful. I had very high hopes for him. That's just great. I'm curious to see tomorrow's chapters. So, and no, I'm not going to read ahead. I see reading the Bible as more of a marathon versus a sprint. So, I'm just going to patiently wait till tomorrow. So, all right, guys, good night.